everyone, welcome back to Sham's Makeup Artistry. Today I filmed a get ready with me and I'd like to also share with you how I usually apply my foundation during the heat weather and also some of the techniques that I've recently started using. So for face primer, I'm actually using my Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. This face primer moisturizes the skin really well if you tend to have dull looking skin. So I love this primer on the days that I feel my skin looks a little bit more dull than usual. And I also like applying my milk makeup on the areas that I personally feel that my pores are a little bit much enlarged. So I love applying this and I feel that it makes me look better, maybe. So for foundation, I'm using the Dior Face and Body Foundation. The shade I will actually list it down on the description bar below. I like applying this foundation using my fingers first and then I go with a brush to dab in the foundation. I kind of feel that it makes the foundation look much more smooth and it makes it look like you have a flawless looking skin. So here I'm using my Real Techniques brush, especially on my cheek area, where I need additional coverage usually. Now let's move on to the eyes. I'm using the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot to prime my eye area. And I'm using the Bare Minerals Bare Skin powder to just set in the primer. For the eyeshadows, I'm using the Urban Decay Born to Run Eyeshadow. I'm picking up the shade Rift. This shade I'm using much more like a transition shade on my crease area. I have been loving this palette. I kind of feel that this palette wears so well for an everyday, or you can just amp it up. Just keep blending until you feel that it's smoothly blended without any harsh lines. I'm just picking up the shade Rift and also Baja, and I'm intensifying the outer corner. Using the Tom Ford eyeshadow base in the shade Spice, I'm just applying this all over my lid area. This kind of makes the eyeshadow last much longer when the weather is really hot. I'm picking up the shade Smog and applying this with my fingers first on my lid area. I'm using the Marc Jacobs eyeliner in the shade Earthquake. And I'm just lining my inner rim. This kind of replaces a black eyeliner for me. It's much more like a brown black, if that does make sense. Now for the concealers, I'm using two shades from the Too Faced Born This Way. The first shade that I'm using as a corrector is Chestnut. And I'm using this on the under eye area and also the sides of my mouth. And I kind of feel that these techniques work for me the best. I blend it with my fingers first. And I kind of allow it to warm up underneath my skin before I use a beauty blender to blend them in. So I'm going to leave it for a while I do my brows off camera. I'm using the Anastasia brow pencil. And now I'm blending the concealer in with a beauty blender. So I'm using the shade Warm Sand as an highlight shade for the under eye area and also all the areas of my face that I like to highlight. Make sure to use very little of this concealer because it can end up looking very cakey. So I'm again using my fingers to blend them in. And now I'm just blending the center point of my face first using the beauty blender while the under eye area kind of like soaks in a little bit more. And now I'm blending my under eye area. I'm going to set my under eye area using the Hourglass Veil translucent powder. I only like using this on the areas that I've applied concealer, not on the entire face area. Just smoothing it out with a Real Techniques face brush. Now let's contour. So for contouring, I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible Contour Stick in the shade 411, I believe. I'll list it down in the description bar for sure. So I just dab this on my skin and then blend it with a Makeup Geek brush. I'm not taking any extra product for the rest of my face area. I'm just using whatever left over on the brush itself because I don't want a heavy contouring kind of look. But I've been really liking this contour stick. It blends in really smoothly on the skin. And to set the entire face, I'm using the Kat Von D Lock It translucent powder. I'm just going to spray the MAC Fix Plus. And now moving on to bronzer, I'm using the Guerlain Terracotta Bronzer, my absolute favorite kind of bronzer. And you can see that I'm dabbing in the product instead of like swiping the product over my face. And for blusher, I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Trio Blusher in the shade Berry Amore. I picked out the last shade, which is much more like a peachy kind of shade. For highlight, I'm using the Dior Transat Edition highlighter on the cheek area, on the forehead area, just very tiny little bit. I'm just dabbing it over my skin in a swirling motion. Just to clean up the contouring area, I'm using the Kat Von D powder. And I'm going to finish up my eye using the same shade, which is Rift, on the crease area. And using the Marc Jacobs eye pencil in the shade Brownie for the lower lid area, I'm just kind of smoking it out. And then using the shade Rift and Baja for the lower lid area, I'm just blending it back and forth, connecting it to the upper point of the eye area. For highlight, I'm using the shade Breakaway on the brow bone and also for the inner corners. I'm just blending away the powder that I used to clean up the contouring area. For the mascara, I'm using the Hourglass Caution Mascara, and I just did it off camera. And I'm setting the entire face with the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. For the lips, I'm using my Sephora Mesquite Lip Liner. And I'm using the Smashbox liquid lipstick in the shade Stepping Out. And here it completes my entire look. I hope you enjoyed my Get Ready With Me. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Till my very next one, stay beautiful both inside and out. Do give me a thumbs up, and till my very next one, goodbye.